Do you want me to start off?
Yeah, take the floor.
Cool. Hello, welcome back to Old Man Media. Um, we're here with Paul Buchanan
Hello.
and Will Ragg. That's me. Um, this week we're back with Film Club, discussing the 1998 comedy cult classic by the Coen Brothers, The Big Lebowski.
I feel like most of our episodes are film club, though.
Well, once a month now, isn't it? So,
Is it? We do other film episodes, though. Like our last episode was on a film, but
Oh,
why
I
is that
see.
not film club? I feel like we need to.
No, but it's Film Club. That was a review of a film we saw, like a new release.
Hmm.
So Film Club is like old films. And we're,
I'm just saying, if we're going to start having these labels of episodes, we
okay.
should probably have some clarity on what it all means, because I don't even know.
We need to have a long conversation.
They just throw a film club at me. I thought film club. I thought was. I thought maybe you were going to say film club is just going to be covering the films that you do in your film club.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I remember in the last episode I called it Old Film Corner, and I was like, that's not a good name for it. But anyway, we'll talk about that off mic. That's not an interesting conversation for the pod.
Film corner. Film club.
Film corner club. Cool. So The Big Lebowski. We've seen this a couple of times together, I think.
Yeah, I think you showed it to me for the first time, and then we've watched it multiple times. I think there was one time we planned to have White Russians and watch it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, in Brighton.
We did do that.
That was good.
Yeah, was that with Jed?
Jed, yeah, that's right.
Our friend. And yeah, I don't know. I've done it multiple times over the years. There was that time we were at a Halloween party, and
oh yeah, your Italian friend came as
he had the vest, and he had. I don't know, he had like half a milk carton as a cup. Yeah. I was like, it could have been a bit more, got the fucking cardigan and you just like got like a half a milk carton. You could have just got a glass of milk, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty easy costume though.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of the reasons that it has become a cult film. It's just because there was like this bit in the beginning of this book, I'll talk about this book a bit more, another BFI Classics, Big Lebowski, but it talks about how there was a tattoo convention somewhere in the US, and these two tattoo artists were finding it quite boring, and so they just started across the room at each other, just started quoting the Big Lebowski to one another, and then that kept going the whole day, and then eventually transpired into renting out a bowling alley, and having people dress as the dude and come to the bowling alley, and then it's like grown, and it's become like a huge thing.
Is that dudism?
No, dudism is like the religion that some people try to follow, like the general ethos. But no, there is an actual convention. I can't forget the name of it, where people just come dressed as like minor characters now.
Lebowski Fest.
Yeah, it's quite cool. And because obviously the film kind of flopped at its initial release, so yeah, it's quite interesting to think about how it has caught on. Because you wouldn't know it now, really, because it's a lot of people's favourite film, or like it's one film that a lot of people know from the Coen Brothers, but it didn't do very well at the time.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of great art comes out and people don't know what to do with it. And it takes time to sit with it, and if something's ahead of its time, it's not going to do well in its time. End of,
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if it's necessarily ahead of its time, but I think
it is. I think it's quite esoteric and almost like predates like meme culture.
Yeah,
but this, you know what I mean? It's got. I mean, I feel like there's some of the oldest memes. There's like there's that one of the dude, and it's like, that's just your opinion, man.
Yeah,
that used to circulate a lot when I was younger. I didn't even know what it was from, and I was just like,
yeah, because I remember seeing that clip of Walter pulling out the gun in the bowling alley, and that was a big meme for a while. But yeah, I didn't even know it was from The Big Lebowski when I saw it. But yeah, no, that's an interesting thought actually. Yeah, it's all about participation. I think not this was the first film that people participated in, like the culture around it, but it was certainly one of the big ones because after it came out, the internet started to kind of take hold. I think that came out in 99, maybe slightly earlier.
I thought it was 2000. But
yeah, it's around that time, and that's when people start participating in film culture, not just in selected small communities, but in kind of larger communities online, are quoting each other and inventing rules for Buddhism and things like that. So it's a really big film.
1998.
Oh, it came out the same year. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. So obviously, in the film club that I hosted, I give a little talk about the film as well, and I think it's always important when we want to think about why a film has become important or was important at the time or anything like that. It's really important to talk about how many times can one person say important in one sentence. It had I want to talk about the
Try not to say important.
The context, the context in which it came out. 4 years before The Big Lebowski, in 1994, the Coen Brothers had come out with The Hudsucker Proxy, and The Hudsucker Proxy was their first big budget film, $25 million budget, and it had Tim Robbins in it. It had Paul Newman. It had, I think is it Catherine Zeta? No, Jennifer Jason Leigh. They put a lot of thought into this, and they wanted it to be more widely seen instead of stuff like Raising Arizona, which was popular but only within a very small kind of select group of cinephiles. But it failed quite miserably, really. Roger Ebert said that it was they were trying too hard to be a 30s or 40s film directors, and it was just impenetrable, all surface and no style. And so they were pretty downhearted about that, and but then decided to come back with Fargo in 1996. Have you seen Fargo?
Yeah, long time ago, but it needs a rewatch.
It's an amazing film. I think it's really good. I mean, I was reading. I think even Fargo would require its own episode because it's just so good, and I think I think it says a lot about the Coens' wider filmography. And one of the things that's really interesting in this book actually is they talk about Fargo, and it's the representation of gender in the Big Lebowski and Fargo, and Fargo is obviously significant for gender because it's a female detective who's pregnant and solving this kind of case, but it's like it's set up like it's supposed to be this kind of very gritty detective story, but actually if you look at it, Marge Gunderson solves the crime just by doing her job properly. She just follows. She doesn't do anything kind of like a detective would in a gritty thing, struggle for ages to find leads or whatever. She has leads, she follows them, she finds witnesses, she interviews them, and then she just finds the culprits pretty easily because they're pretty idiotic, the guys that actually commit the crime. One thing they point out in the book is that it's women acting like men and men acting like idiots trying to be men. So it's quite interesting. Yeah, so the Fargo's a huge hit, and gets them not them specifically. Well, they get a screenplay award, and Frances McDormand gets an acting award at the Oscars, and they're nominated for 5 others as well. So it's a pretty big film. It's held as kind of like a modern, classic at the time.
Sort of got rebirth with the series as well into popular culture.
Yeah.
Martin Freeman.
Yeah. And Billy Bob Thornton really good in that as well.
It's actually all right. Spin-off, yeah.
Yeah, I only saw the first season, but it was quite good.
I think there only was one season, but
were there 2 or 3?
I've only seen the first one.
I think Ewan McGregor's in one of them. But yeah, when it kind of like retells the story, the same story as the film, the first season. But I think the other 2 are like different kind of adaptations. But yeah, it's kind of telling about how big Fargo was, that it's still kind of talked about and then remade into a TV show. It's quite interesting. And then 1998, they released The Big Lebowski, and it kind of fails at the time, partly because critics didn't like the fact that it wasn't Fargo. Audiences were kind of absolutely dumbfounded at the plot. It didn't kind of failed at the time, which is understandable, really. I mean, it's a crazy plot. I mean, I still don't really understand. Like I know what happens. Like
the thing is they leave it quite open ended. It's a sort of noir detective mystery thing, and at the end it's insinuated that the Big Lebowski, the dude was set up by Jeff Lebowski as a fall guy for this, like so that he could make a load of money. Yeah, I mean, explaining it now, I'm realizing I don't understand as well as I thought.
That's the thing.
You got to follow you got to follow the money. You got to follow the trail. But no, it's like obviously, yeah. I think it's at one point in the movie, they like Bunny staged the ransom, to get the money out of, but then I think it was basically framed as a tax avoidance scheme for the Big Lebowski, so that he could get rid of a load of money, saying he's paying off a ransom, but he's actually like laundering his money. I think that's the ultimate crux of the plot. But then obviously you've got a lot of little sidewinds. You've got his daughter and the artist is getting involved, and it's a mess, but on purpose. I think it's supposed to be this big sprawling, but I think that's what makes it feel so alive, is that it's not really clear cut. It does feel like you're kind of just exploring this world with the dude.
Yeah.
Falling down every nook and cranny that in little sort of mischief that he gets into.
Definitely. Yeah. But the bit that really gets me, that I still think about, I don't really understand, is so the what do they call themselves? The nihilists, right? Are they working for Jeffrey Lebowski?
No.
But then
they're nihilists, man.
But one of them's at the pool at Jeffrey Lebowski's house. Right at the beginning, he's in the pool, and then obviously it's shown at the end that it's one of their toes, the woman's toes, that they've cut off to send back to Jeffrey Lebowski. But then also the Jeffrey Lebowski's plot would require them to be involved because they were supposed to not get the money. Do you see what I mean? At the beginning.
I think it actually makes quite a lot of sense, because they're hanging out at the Big Lebowski's house at the earlier bit, which kind of gives you a clue that they're in on it. Because why would the people that are taking his daughter ransom be at the house?
It's his wife, isn't it?
His wife, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It does make sense, I think. I think it's actually just a big clue that the movie gives you, is that they're hanging out at his house, but then they're supposed to be holding him ransom later on. And it's like, no, maybe they actually are, working for him, and it's a pretty badly glazed over plot.
What also I think's funny is that the dude does figure the film out in the first 20 minutes. Like his first thing when he first gets the call about, my wife's been kidnapped, and the dude then says to Walter, like, oh, she probably kidnapped herself. And that's true. Like, you figured it out, it's like straight away.
No, because she didn't kidnap herself necessarily. He thinks that for a bit, and then it's like, he's like, oh, is it not? And then it turns out that it was all staged by the Big Lebowski. So it's like the Big Lebowski kidnapped her. Yeah.
But, she didn't kidnap herself. She just kind of ran away.
And Walter says it a few times as well.
Yeah. But anyway,
but Walter's paranoia is kind of, you can't trust that. He's so paranoid funny about everything.
Yeah, he's so funny. They wrote the character and were like, John Goodman has to play him. Like, this is written for John Goodman. The dude, they were actually not sure. I mean, when they casted Jeff Bridges, they were like, okay, yeah, this is made for him. But when they wrote the character, it was like John Goodman, because John Goodman's worked with them for a few times up until now. So, But they originally actually wanted to make The Big Lebowski before Fargo, and had started writing it just after they wrote Barton Fink, I think. And but when they wanted to make it, John Goodman had commitments to Roseanne, the TV show, which I don't know. Have you seen Roseanne? Terrible. It's one of those like classic like American sitcoms that you watch and you're like, this is what people were watching in the 90s.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I think like Friends and stuff like survived a good amount of the test of time, and like Friends is like, out of all of that, is probably like the cream of the crop of the
yeah, that and Seinfeld.
Seinfeld blows Friends out of the water. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's telling that Friends is what sort of is the cream of the crop.
But it's like there was a kind of more family oriented like sitcoms in like the 80s and 90s. You know what I mean? Like the Brady Bunch. You ever seen clips of the Brady Bunch?
Yeah, I used to watch a bit of Brady Bunch. It was alright.
Awful. It's terrible.
Malcolm in the Middle's great.
Yeah, to be fair, but that's 2000s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it 2000s?
What about My Name's Earl?
That was also 2000s.
Right. I think 2000s they started to perfect the family sitcom. What about Bill Cosby, The Cosby Show?
I never watched that, but I think it was quite big at the time, wasn't it?
A bit of a trip to watch it now, but
yeah.
What if it's like the whole Michael Jackson thing, and you go back and watch it, and you're like, yeah, he's a paedophile, but The Cosby Show slaps, man.
Well, no, was he a paedophile or was he just a rapist?
Don't know.
I think like he was.
Yeah.
I don't think they were underage. I don't actually know much about Bill Cosby, so.
Tune in next week.
Our Bill Cosby episode. So yeah, obviously, like I said, the Big Lebowski flops on its release, but it's now regarded as a cult movie. Because of the things like I said, like the internet, van interaction, and just people just wanted to be like the dude, So Raymond Chandler. Let's get on to one of my favorite writers. Have you ever read a Raymond Chandler book? Really, really good. So he released The Big Sleep in 1939 and would continue to release Philip Marlowe books until 1954 with the release of The Long Goodbye. Actually, no, that's a lie. I think he got slightly longer than that. But anyway, The Long Goodbye is his last big one.
It would probably be would have been a better idea to end it on The Long Goodbye, right?
Yeah, that would be good.
He's like, I need to go back, and it's like the Quentin Tarantino thing.
Yeah, we got to release a certain amount of. They're all really good, and they're all very quick, easy reads. I would say, like it's not.
I like my books like I like my women.
Quick and easy. But they're all like very quick, easy page turners. It's not really about how he solves the case, because most of the time the mystery comes to him. People will come and say like, "Oh, I'm this guy." And, it's just about meeting this parade of colourful characters and being in interesting situations, and how Philip Marlowe gets himself out of being knocked out by another thug. But it's really good, and it paints a very interesting portrait of LA as like this very corrupt, very seedy place. There has been a lot of ink spilled, shall we say, about the relationship that Chandler has to the Big Lebowski.
Wait, is it based off of any?
No,
it's just loosely based on the world almost. It's like influenced by that world.
Yeah, so it actually has a lot more in common with Robert Altman's adaptation of The Long Goodbye.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
I have, yeah.
That's really good.
I mean, I never even put together that this film had those kind of influences until you made it in your speech at the film club. And then I was like, oh yeah, shit, it does have that kind of exact sort of sprawling, kind of seedy LA vibe.
Yeah, like just a man bumbling around LA.
And these like secret organizations of people. Like you've got the Jackie Treehorn and his seemingly like really seedy pornography business and sex parties, and then all these different sort of people, and the mayor of that, the police force being wrapped up in that and being paid off, and everything sort of being a little bit crooked, and
Yeah, Jackie Treehorn is like straight out of a Chandler novel.
Like an underworld, almost like a criminal underworld that, one man is sort of going through a labyrinth of it and having to come out on top. Makes for a really good stories, I think.
Yeah. Some of the greatest like films or books or whatever are just like, what if X did X? Like, so what if Philip Marlowe smoked weed? That's like basically the Big Lebowski, and I think it's really funny.
I mean, also worth mentioning is Inherent Vice, which was probably influenced by this, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, came out in like 2014, I want to say.
Yes, that's right.
But Yeah, he took it was based on a Thomas Pynchon novel. I don't know if Thomas Pynchon was influenced by.
I would say that Thomas Pynchon is a big influence on the Coens. I haven't actually read that in any of my books, but it very much feels like I think Inherent Vice was written afterwards, but it feels like it has a lot of Vineland, maybe.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's another film. I feel like it does take influence from Big Lebowski, but if you struggled to understand the Big Lebowski, Inherent Vice is going to be. I mean, it's the Big Lebowski. The more times you watch it, the more you understand it, which is one of its biggest. I think that's why it's a cult movie, is because people can stick it on again and still get something from it.
Yeah.
And Inherent Vice has that to like the nth degree. But sometimes you watch it like 4 or 5 times and then you understand less about it.
Yeah,
it's a really good film. Worth a watch if you enjoy the Big Lebowski.
Yeah, just like the Big Lebowski, though, Inherent Vice is all about its characters. You know, it's not necessarily can I figure out what's happening along with Doc. It's aren't these characters interesting and how they interact, and this is funny. And that's, I think that's at the core of both of those films. But yeah, so like I said, Robert Altman's The Long Goodbye. Probably one of my favourite films ever. And, The Big Lebowski owes a lot to that. Modern adaptations of Chandler books have always really struggled. I mean, Liam Neeson played him I think a couple of years ago now, and that one flopped, didn't do very well.
Really? What film was that?
I think it's just called Marlowe.
Ah.
Yeah, I think that's right. But yeah, that didn't do very well. There's been, I think, all bar one of Chandler's books have been adapted at some point, and the only big two are The Big Sleep and The Long Goodbye. The Big Sleep with Humphrey Bogart came out in 1946, I want to say. That's also really, really good. Kind of a classic film noir. Sorry, I'm sitting here and my laptop is just like blowing hot air all over me, and it's one of the hottest days of the year. I'm sweating so profusely. Anyway, sorry about your chair.
It's all right. Spray it down, hose it down afterwards.
But anyway, there's like whole scenes in the film that are like almost ripped from the Big Sleep in The Big Lebowski. There's the scene where the dude gets the job from Jeffrey Lebowski, and that scene specifically is like the opening scene in The Big Sleep. The detective goes into the room. There's an old man in a wheelchair who's gotten a ransom note, the detective, the begrudging detective, starts smoking. But obviously in the dude's case, it's weed. The way it was described in one of the books, which I thought was funny, was they're throwing eggs lovingly. Which is how they describe the Coens pastiche, because it's not like a direct pastiche. I mean, yeah, okay, they've lifted this scene a little bit, but it's not like they're just trying to copy them. They're doing it in their own way and almost poking fun at him.
Satirical.
But it's not. They're not doing irony in a way like, isn't this stupid? It's like they're
tongue in cheek, like this is what we're referencing, but we're being a little bit silly with it.
Yeah. I think that's basically what the Coens have almost tried to do. Like, irony is a long thread throughout the Coens' career, but it's almost like they're doing irony not to be like, oh, aren't we cleverer than you? It's they're trying to be a bit more honest through irony almost.
I mean, one film that I feel like maybe breaks this mold, or not even, but is not so much in their style is the Inside Llewyn Davis, where it's a lot more. There is I feel like it's a darker kind of irony in that film. It's more of a sort of cruel, sort of universal irony of like, about hard luck, and it's not like a tongue-in-cheek silly thing. It's more just like, it's kind of just being like very brutally ironic.
Yeah, it's quite brutal, that film. Yeah. Especially with the bit at the end. So, but that kind of theme runs throughout. Like I said earlier, Roger Ebert said about the Hudsucker Proxy is that they were trying to be They were using their 30s and 40s film influences too much. And you can view the Coens' whole filmography as being their plays on different genres of movies that were released in the 30s and 40s. You've got The Big Lebowski, the noir. You've got obviously Hail Caesar. It is about the 30s and 40s film industry, they're constantly either like pastiching or using as reference people like Howard Hawks, Preston Sturges. They've always been brought up as big influences on the Coens.
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is like a pastiche of American history, isn't it? Or maybe American legends and mythology. Combining the Odyssey with
Depression,
the Great Depression era America. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just look this up because I believe that there is a yes. So the title of the film is a reference to the 1941 Preston Sturges film Sullivan's Travels. In which the protagonist is a director who wants to film Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Basically they got the film from a Preston Sturges, so it's funny you brought that up. The
Big Lebowski, I think, is probably referencing The Big Sleep, and it's
and it's in the title, for sure. Yeah. I mean, the title itself feels like it could be a Raymond Chandler novel. They've all got those kind of titles like The Long Goodbye, The High Window, things like that. Oh, God, it is a hot one today, isn't it?
A little bit
Paul's
hot today.
got a sleeveless top on as well. You know it's hot. So I want to talk about genre a little bit in The Big Lebowski because I think that's really interesting. Because, if someone were to not tell you anything about The Big Lebowski and just stick it on, right? And it starts, and you've got Sam Elliott narrating. You've got the wagon wheel lettering coming up, and there's a tumbleweed flowing through the desert. You think, oh, this is a Western. And then the tumbleweed goes into LA, and you're like, oh, okay, what's going on? And then you meet the slacker. You're like, oh, okay, maybe this is like a slacker film, like a,
stonery comedy kind of
Cheech
thing.
and Chong thing.
Yeah.
And then, you meet Walter, and you're like, okay, maybe this is like a buddy film, and then there's this like more seedy element comes out, and you're like, okay, so this is like a neo-noir kind of thing. But then like kind of the thing is like it kind of defies genre. Quite. I mean, the Coens talk about this, and like they just put stuff together, kind of dovetail. There's a really interesting interview with the Coens where they talk about their writing process. And they just were like, it just seems like they don't really have an idea of what they want to say before they start writing. They're just like, well, wouldn't this be funny? And they say in the interview that they came up with the idea for the severed toe before anything else of The Big Lebowski had taken any kind of form, and they just wanted like a severed toe to be a part of the film. And so from there, they've almost just like extrapolated all of this. And if you think about the buddy film and film noir. So obviously film noir is a very specific genre. It has to have come out in the 30s and 40s. I think even 50s a little bit, because it was a reaction to what was happening at the time. It was becoming more dangerous. We had the New Deal and stuff was revamping, but cities were becoming really scary places. The war was making everyone very jaded about their societal beliefs and stuff like that. And so you can't actually make a film noir anymore because it has to have come out at that time. But neo-noirs obviously took on a big role with like things like Chinatown in the 70s, The Long Goodbye. And I mean, you could even say things like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a 90s film. I want to say Pulp Fiction, not really, but kind of has like Reservoir Dogs kind of has neo-noir sort of elements to it. But anyway, so you can't make it anymore. So, right, but buddy comedy and film noir are things that like are absolutely diametrically opposed in all ways. Like the film noir detective, as we know it, has to be a loner because they've rejected society. They've rejected humanity and all of this, and they're a lone wolf.
They have to be an outsider looking into these systems of corruption.
Yeah,
and they can't be consumed by it, or can't be part of a club, because as you find out in lots of noir films, every club has a dark, seedy underbelly. Usually it's like a disgraced policeman who's now a PI, and that's like the stereotype.
Yeah.
Because even the police are in on it.
Yeah, and that's what Philip Marlowe's like. That's a big thing in all Raymond Chandler books. Is that?
I guess the Big Lebowski defies that, because it's less than even being disgraced from. He's just an absolute loser.
Yeah,
he's just not done anything of his life apart from smoke weed and bowling. And it's almost that as an act of defiance to society, I wanted to go into the dudism stuff because I found that quite funny.
Yeah.
That people started a religion based on the dude. Because weirdly, after this most recent viewing of The Big Lebowski, afterwards, a thing that was in my mind was that it's almost like a representation of Taoism. Or Buddhism. There's a philosophy in the film that I think there is a strong theme of philosophy in it, in terms of the dude just floating through all these situations, going with the flow. Taoism is sort of like, it's the art of going with the flow. It's like the whole thing is like, imagine if life is, a lot of people are living life like they're swimming against a current, trying so hard to do this or that, and then Taoism is like just letting yourself float with the river, and the dude kind of represents that a lot, because he's literally just doesn't try very hard at all, and throughout the whole film he kind of just floats through all these wacky situations, but sometimes he gets a little angry, but he's never really like, he's like, and he's always got these sort of little witty retorts, which and I looked it up after, because I was like, I want to see if there's any kind of proof in the pudding of what I felt about this sort of religious themes in it. And I did find some stuff like online. There's an interview of Jimmy Kimmel where the dude talks about some of his mentors that he's had, and Jeff Bridges actually went through kind of like a religious thing with like Buddhism and stuff, I believe, and he actually like meditated. He goes into this whole talk about how he went to a sensory deprivation tank.
Oh, really?
And he's like, you just notice all these things that you put onto everything. Once you're removed of all external stimuli, is like you realize it's all in here. And he's like quite a spiritual guy, I think. And he talks about one of I think it's like a Buddhist priest that he worked with, and he said that like the Big Lebowski is like, or the dude is like I think it, so it would have been a Buddhist. Yeah, he's like, the dude is like a Buddhist icon, and he's like, what do you mean? He's like, talks about these things called koans. Or koans,
I don't know.
Which are Buddhist teachings. They're like they're either like bits of speech or stories or whatever, anything. A koan is like, and he's like, think about who directed it, the Coen Brothers. And he goes on to talk about, all the like quotes in the movie, like, that's just your opinion, man, and it's like that's removed from external stimuli there, and the dude abides is almost like, be at one, go with the force, go with the way, and it's like he does have like this detachment in the face of like a lot of chaos that's going on. Then the dudism, I looked up some stuff on ABC News did a segment on it, and interviewing one of the founders of it, who like on a trip in Thailand drunkenly watched The Big Lebowski and then decided to start a religion from it.
Oh, really?
And he was talking, and it's funny because there's about 160,000 ordained Buddhist priests.
Really?
But it's not very hard to become one. There was like a segment of a religious, and it was like the same way where you drink the wine, they're drinking White Russians, like a ceremonial White Russian. And he's talking about just taking it easy, man. And the guy who's found it is deadly serious. He's like, it just offered me a different path. He's like, I realized I don't have to be what society wants of me. I can just drink White Russians and bowl, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's a rather silly kind of, I mean, I think taking it a bit too far there, maybe.
Yeah.
But there is some truth in that kind of, I think that's another reason that the film has become such a cult classic, is because it can be quite endearing for a main character who's a loser, but Jeff Bridges plays him so endearingly that you're like, it makes you feel better about whatever your life circumstances are, So
yeah, I think it is interesting. Like, I mean, the dude clearly has some sort of like ethos, and it does come through. And like, you think about the money, he leaves $1 million in the trunk of his car in a disabled space. He doesn't really care about the money. He never even looks in to see if the
he doesn't spend any of it. He's not like, oh my god, like he doesn't even mention, oh, we've got all this money, let's go do this. You know?
He just like it's almost like he doesn't actually really want it.
He wants the rug.
Yeah, that's all. That's it. That's the rug. It's all he wants
because it tied the room together.
I mean, he does have material like possessions and wants things, but not really, like apart from the rug, that's about it. He doesn't even really want sex.
No.
And that's a big thing with Philip Marlowe as well. He has all of these people kind of almost falling after him, all these women, but he doesn't really ever actually have sex with any of them in the thing. He was always rejecting them because he always kind of rejects the idea of society and doesn't like the people that are involved in it. And, you know, the dude, as we pointed out, is very similar and doesn't really want to it's not that he hates society, it's that he doesn't want a part of it. He still loves humanity though.
One of my favorite quotes that I got from it like this time though was when he's like, she's not my lady, man, she's just my lady friend, I'm just fucking helping her conceive, man. It's just such an outlandish line. In his head, that makes sense.
It's funny because the guy he's saying that to is is a long-time Coen collaborator, and it feels like he's come from a different movie. And what's really good about all of the characters is that they feel like they have their own movie going on, and they've just kind of interrupted the dude's film for a bit. I think that,
did they do a spin-off on Jesus or something?
I don't think the Coens were involved in it, but yeah. They did do. What about the pederast?
I'm gonna fuck you up, man.
Fuck you up on Saturday? Now fuck you up on Wednesday, man. Maybe that'll get us cancelled. Doing Spanish accents.
Oh, I don't think so. I think we've done far worse.
Yeah, so the dude is a slacker icon, I think. And what's really at the core of the film is that, like, yeah, the dude is this like ex-60s kind of. I mean, he says he's one of the Seattle Seven, but his buddy Walter fought in the Vietnam War, and clearly is quite proud of that fact that he fought in the Vietnam War. He's not, disgruntled by it. Doesn't hate his government because.
Isn't there like a whole conspiracy that he never went to war and he just made up that entire personality?
I'd believe that.
Yeah. Because it's almost like he's so adamantly working it into everything that it's like a character that he really wants to be. It's like, I don't know, how some people are like an eighth, like, I don't know, Greek or something, and they try and they suddenly follow Greek gods. And that's a real wild explanation. I don't know if I've ever met anyone like that, but...
No, there's certainly people that you meet that
Jamaican.
You
meet white guys and they're like, I'm the 16th Jamaican, and they're like, jar blessed, they're smoking loads of weed.
Irish is a big one. People always claim Irish.
No, Irish is the new Jamaican. So instead of weed, it's just Guinness and being pro-left wing.
But so at the heart of the film is a contradiction in the two buddies, being a neo-noir, but then being a buddy film, and the buddies being so opposed to each other politically, and and that's what makes the film really, really interesting. And John Goodman is just incredible in it. He's so good, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't think I can really see him as many other characters. Yeah. When I watch other stuff. I watched Finkel and Bart or whatever it was.
Bart and Fink?
Yeah.
Finkel and Bart.
It was quite unnotable for me. I didn't really enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, I can't even remember the name of it. Do you know what I mean? It's just...
Finkel and Bart.
It really left no impression on me.
Oh, really?
Unfortunately. I didn't even need to rewatch it, but...
Yeah. It was kind of a minor classic for the Coens. I don't know. You talk to some people and like they have never put a foot wrong apart from like the Hudsucker Proxy. You've seen Blood Simple, their first film. It's crazy that got made. I mean, 1984, and they're doing stuff. I mean, this book here is written by a friend of theirs, William Preston Robertson, and it's edited by Trisha Cook, who I believe is Ethan Coen's wife. And he talks about being on the set of Blood Simple and how it was so low budget and they had to go like storm chasing for a bit. They'd stuck a camera to the front of their car and they just needed a shot of the road in the rain. And so they just went out and they just were asking like dino waitresses, like, have you seen a storm? And is there a storm nearby? And she just goes, no. But anyway, yeah, that's a really good film. You should watch that. Very young Francis McDormand. Anyway, so yeah, contradictions. So the contradictions of the characters. But that's where, the film obviously really lies. And but despite those contradictions, you can tell, especially that end scene where Walter eulogizes Donnie. Despite the fact that they've bickered throughout the film, it's clear that
he starts talking about Vietnam, and the dude's like, "What the fuck, man?"
But he does like eulogize him in a way that does. He does care about Donnie. You can tell that he does, but then can't stop himself bringing up Vietnam. And then
he's almost like autistic about it. Yeah, it's really funny.
Everything has to relate back to Nam. And but then obviously he spills all the ashes all over the dude, but then has to they do embrace and everything's forgiven. I
was going to mention when that scene was actually what made me feel the most sort of religious undertones because of the passing of Donnie and like the eulogy and everything, and it feels like this whole like that's just life kind of, and I think once Donnie dies it kind of puts everything, they just stop caring about all the other stuff that's happened in the film, and it's like it kind of feels like it puts everything into perspective, and it does kind of have this like shit happens and then you die sort of vibe to it.
And there's the bit where like Donnie's having his heart attack and it's like Walter's like wartime like experience is suddenly incredibly valuable, and like you can tell that they are actually friends despite telling him to shut the fuck up throughout the film.
Well, again, that the interview with Jeff Bridges where he's talking about that Buddhist, apparently that's a koan or something. Shut the fuck up, Donnie. Apparently that's a
weird. I need to watch this interview. I haven't seen this.
It's strange.
Anyway, one more thing that wasn't actually in my speech that I thought was very funny. So Fargo, famously at the beginning, it says this was inspired by a true story, which is kind of true. I mean, they took vague points from a real murder that did happen in like Minneapolis or wherever that film's set, Minnesota. But it's not really based on a true story. It's just kind of that it's just them bit of tongue in cheek again, the Coens. However, The Big Lebowski is far more set in real life. It's far more based on true events than Fargo. So they had a friend who was a part of the Seattle Seven. Oh, no, this is a friend. I think he's a producer, but he calls himself the Dude, and he was a part of the Seattle Seven. And there was a famous Hollywood director who was a screenwriter for Apocalypse Now, and he was a very like big, larger than life figure. Let me just find the bit so I don't absolutely fuck this up. Here we go. The kid Jake. So the part where they intimidate the kid because they found their homework in the car, in their had been stolen car. That's all true. That actually happened. They go into a guy's house and try to intimidate the 13-year-old child, and he absolutely is unblinking, just doesn't move. Ethan hears this story and is like, "There's something very LA about that." So Walter was also partially inspired by the gung-ho Hollywood figure John Milieu, writer on Apocalypse Now and director of Conan the Barbarian and Red Dawn. And also the California surfing epic Big Wednesday. Perhaps the best real-world source for the film's characters is Jeff Dowd, a former pot-smoking radical and sometime movie producer who goes by the handle The Dude, and was indeed a member of the Seattle Seven, as Lebowski claims to have been. So there you go.
What is the Seattle Seven?
That's a good question, and I should have an answer for you. I believe that they were a group. The Seattle Seven were a group of 7 radical anti-Vietnam War activists charged with conspiracy to incite a riot in 1970. They were prominent leaders in the Seattle Liberation Front who gained national attention for the disruptive countercultural trial in Tacoma, Washington. Yeah. There you go. Jeff Dowd, an independent film producer and the real-life inspiration for The Dude in the Coen Brothers film, The Big Lebowski. Yeah. Anyway, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about?
Yeah. There's one point in the movie where the dude has a picture of Nixon bowling in his apartment, and I just don't understand that because it doesn't seem like he would be aligned with Nixon.
No, not at all.
I mean, I feel like potentially Walter would be.
Yeah. I mean, it goes into the contradictions of the film. Like, I mean, Nixon was carried on the Vietnam War after it should have ended, in the late 60s. And, the Big Lebowski, the dude tries to claim that he was one of the Seattle Seven who, obviously were an anti-Vietnam. And it just... But I think it's just because it's Nixon bowling, and it's just kind of ironic that he'd have that on his wall. That's it. That was Coen's choice.
A gag, yeah.
It is a really funny poster, though.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that photo exists. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's a tongue-in-cheek gag by the Coens. I don't think it's anything more than that, really. I have just a little quote at the end of this book here that I'd like to read. That's all right. So, in his memoir, A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius, a title that has the same mock-serious ring to it as Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?, Eggers asked, at once joking and in earnest, what sort of emotional content you could bring to phrases like, dude, she died. If anything, the dude abide has the opposite valence, but a similar idea lies behind it. The phrase is a silly but harmless and somewhat self-mocking expression of hedonistic worldview that rejects the cares of a mad world in favour of simple pleasures. The holy fool taking it easy for all of us sinners, as the stranger puts it. Simultaneously, the phrase comically blasphemes the Lord God, who was well known to advertise himself as the only one that abides forever. The rest of us pass away, like grass, as the quotation from the Bible reads, behind the undertaker at the mortuary, or a tumbleweed. The dude claims that he abides, but maybe he means to say that he is well aware that he only abides for a while. In that case, his argument seems to run, and in essence, this is the argument of the film. Why get yourself all twisted up in knots, trying to scramble for money, status, fame, power, and so forth? Why not enjoy yourself? Why not enjoy your life, since it's the only one you have anyway? I mean it, the film seems to say. And this time I mean it honestly. Fuck it, let's go bowling. Yeah, I think that's the core message of the film is just enjoying your life without,
Yeah, I mean, that's the underpinning philosophy that I was getting at, is that that's what it seems to be kind of giving people, and I can see why some people get a new lease on life from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it can be a bit of a dangerous thing because it does also say just don't fucking achieve anything.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, I think there's a happy medium.
Yeah.
Moderation.
There's certainly, I think it's, what I certainly like about it is it's not an absolutely carefree life that you're living and try and live this absolutely hedonistic life. It's like, like the dude still cares for things. He cares for the people around him. And he wants to help Maud conceive. But he then also enjoys his life more thoroughly because he has less attachment to things like fame, success, money, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just sort of floating along on his merry way, like a tumbleweed.
Like a tumbleweed, exactly. What's your favourite joke in the film?
Oh, I don't know. Been put on the spot here.
Yeah, I have a bit. I probably should have pre-warned you with this
told me the fair one.
Because there's so many as well. That's the problem.
I just love it when Walter won't shut up about, is it Little Timmy? Is that what his name is?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, he was stonewalling me.
I would have got to him.
He was going to break. He was just close to breaking, wasn't he? And it's that whole sequence, and it cuts from, obviously, like it's almost, that's like great comedy writing there, where he smashes up the car because they see a nice, really expensive car outside Little Timmy's house, and they're like, that's what he's done with the money. They smash up that car, and it turns out not to be his car.
yeah.
And then some other guy gets really annoyed, smashes up the dude's car, which has already been through a lot, and the dude's like, he's against smashing up the car in the first place, so he gets, and then it cuts to them, because the whole time, like, leading up to that scene as well, they're talking about In-N-Out Burger, and they're eating In-N-Out Burger. On the way back, the windscreen's completely smashed in. It's like "Oh, You're Come Va" by Santana is playing, and it's and then it's just fantastic.
It's amazing to me that just like comedy can just lie in a cut, just a simple cut of them. You know, there is so much said in just a cut to a broken windscreen and them eating burgers. It's so funny that on its own.
I think like that little sequence of the movie. And just Walter going on about it's like he's on the phone. He's like, he was going to break, wasn't he?
So my favorite line in the film has always been when the dude calls the Big Lebowski a human paraquat.
Yeah,
but I never knew what it meant. It just sounded very funny, especially the way he delivers it. You human paraquat, like it's just like he's searching for words and he just comes up with something random. But anyway, no, paraquat. I read in this book. It basically was something that the United States sprinkled on marijuana fields in Mexico to destroy them. But
I also feel like it sounds like he's jumbled up his words and he meant to say like paraplegic or something.
Yeah, he like caught himself just before he said it. But no, I mean, I think it would have been on purpose, because obviously like that kind of encapsulates the Big Lebowski's sort of ethics. It's like smoking weed, and the Big Lebowski is someone who threatens that, and it is dampening his fun. Do you know what I mean? And another thing that's really interesting about the film is that, like I said earlier, the women act like men and the men act like idiots trying to be men. That's a big through line in a lot of the Coen Brothers films. And the Big Lebowski is a great showcase of this, because everybody's kind of pretending to be someone they're not, except maybe the dude and maybe Donnie. I don't know, but obviously, the Big Lebowski isn't actually famous. He's putting it all on. Walter seems to be, as maybe you suggested, the fact that he actually wasn't in the Vietnam War. And with this huge tough guy act, and just constantly trying to be this real like loud tough guy all the time. And Jesus Quintato covering up the fact that he's a pederast by trying to be really good at bowling and being really showy and all of this. I think it's also very interesting what they point out in the book is that through that theme as well, there's lots of covers in the soundtrack.
Hotel California is a Spanish cover of that.
And obviously Dead Flowers, a famous one, and lots of things like that. Also, I think it's really interesting is I heard a story of the Coen Brothers were struggling to get money for the film, for the Big Lebowski, and so they showed it to this big time movie producer, trying to get him to give him some money, and he's going through it and he's kind of not really laughing the whole time, and he's watching the whole film, and then it gets to the bit where the dude's been punched by the chief of police in Malibu, and he's in the taxi ride home, and he's asking the taxi driver,
like, I fucking hate the Eagles,
man. I fucking hate the Eagles, man. And the producer turns to T-Bone Burnett, who was the music guy, and goes, yeah, I'm in.
Oh, it's a shame because I love it, and that song that's playing,
peacefully as you feeling.
Desert tonight. It's like, I love the Eagles. I don't love them as much as Creedence. I won't lie. I think whenever I put Creedence on, I do think of the dude. I think of the dude banging his roof.
Yeah.
Do you know what? When did Pulp Fiction come out? After this film?
I'm going to say I think it would have been before, yeah.
Fuck. Because I feel like there's a certain vibe that is the same as when Bruce Willis is driving that car before he sees Marcellus Wallace, and he's listening to the flowers on the wall.
Yeah,
That's
some right.
flat, and he's in his car. Like, but you know, it gives me the same.
Yeah. It's very similar. But I mean, Tarantino said the Coens was a huge influence on him, and the fact that they got Blood Simple made was a big influence on the fact that he could get Reservoir Dogs made. And so that was So there's definitely a lot of love there between Tarantino and.
I mean, earlier you were saying about how they couldn't picture anyone else as being Walter. You know, they had to get John Goodman, but you know, I think Jeff Bridges. In an interview I saw, he was like, "What?" They were like, "What do you get? Like, what do fans say to you most? Like, what do you get stopped by?" And he's just like, "Loads." Anytime he's about, people are like, "Dude." That's the thing he hears the most, and it's like that. It's like that one movie that flopped when it was released has now become almost his biggest legacy.
Yeah.
And when I think of Jeff Bridges, I think of a few other films he's been in, but to be honest, I don't really know his whole filmography. I think that role is kind of. Yeah, it's his forever, and like I can't imagine anyone else playing it. Looking back, like no one could really do justice to that role.
No, yeah, I'm trying to think of anybody that could do that as well. I don't really know. But apparently, Jeff Bridges, when he turned up to set, he was like, he knew all of his lines and everything. And the Coens were also very specific about you had to say, there was no room for ad-libbing. You had to do exactly what's in the script. And Jeff Bridges would just kind of turn up to set and just go, "Okay, how many big ones has he smoked today?" And they go, 4, and he just like rub his eyes really hard, and then he'd go and perform. It's quite funny.
I don't know why. I just picture him actually getting into method acting, smoking.
No, I don't think he did.
No, I mean you can't really get. I
think you'd be too washed out to be able to.
I'd be very impressed if someone could act stoned, if they're not playing
as stoned as the dude would get, I assume. Yeah.
I mean, I think it works in stoner movies because they're supposed to be stoned the entire time. You know, like Mac and Dev go to high school. Have you seen that? Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah, we watched that together.
Snoop Dogg, and it's just like, I mean, this movie sucks.
But yeah, I think Cheech and Chong must have been absolutely wrecked when they did them, isn't it?
Yeah, but it does work in their favour.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about how like you kind of introduced the film. You're like, is this a stoner film? What I find interesting is that the dude smokes weed. That's his thing. Walter loves Vietnam. You know what I mean? Everyone kind of has their own little like. Walter wouldn't be a stoner at all, and I don't know. Donnie doesn't seem to be.
Yeah.
You know,
but it
kind of shows how their friendships are. You know, and it's like real life. You know, you have like, you know, you don't have to. I don't know. Like again, maybe it's that whole being anti a group thing, being anti being an outsider and having all these friends that are doing different things. Maybe it goes into that kind of character.
They might have a lot like dissimilar about them, but they still have a shared humanity with each other, and they still enjoy one another's company, and they love bowling, and that's their big thing. Is that at the very center of it? You know, the dude says to the Big Lebowski, if the detect all of the, you know, being the bag man for them interrupts the bowling, he won't do it. You know, and that's even though we never actually see the dude bowling.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. It's funny as well because I've literally done minimal research for this episode. I've watched a few interviews, but about the religious side of stuff. Yeah. But there is in the interview with the Dudism guy, talks about how, you know, he's like the human beings have always been drawn to groups of 100 to 200 people, you know, whether it be like small, you know, church every weekend, 100 to 200 people in a hall, you know, etc. And he's like, in a way, a bowling club is a little tribe, 100 to 200 people playing against each other every week, you know?
Yeah.
So I found that to be kind of an interesting point.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, the Ethan Coen, when asked why bowling, he kind of just said that his I think it was his uncle said he used to be in a softball league with Tony Danza. Do you know who Tony Danza is?
I've heard the name.
Yeah, let me just get up a picture of him so I can remind you. He's an actor.
Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza.
So apparently Ethan Coen's uncle would was in a softball league with him, and would just just get into arguments with him at a softball league, and they thought that was really funny, and that was sort of the emphasis. But and then they went, but softball league is not very cinematic, and so they come up with doing bowling instead.
Yeah, I mean, bowling is very cinematic, and excuse the pun, it underpins the entire film in terms of even like the hallucinatory scenes where like the dude's like floating and he's a bowling ball, or he's inside a bowling ball, and there's all these, and the Man in Me by Bob Dylan, like again that song is just like, to me it's just in the world of this film. Like there's so many things this film is just kind of taken it on as its own. And I discovered Townes Van Zandt actually from this movie, Dead Flowers, at the end of the film. And yeah, so much in this film, so much that it just lives in a world of its own. So
it's amazing. Like when I started writing the speech for the film club, I was like, I don't know if I can actually even fill 10 minutes. And I started writing it. I was like, oh no, there's actually so much. Like it's so dense.
It's a weird, because on the surface it's not a striking film, and you can see why like some people would have written it off. But it's one of those that rewards you the deeper you go, the more rewatches. And it's insane how just like is it an hour and a half or 2 hours? 2 hour film could have
just under 2 hours,
to have so much depth, and maybe that's why it was so ahead of its time, is that it does have, despite just only being 2 hours, it has an entire world underneath the surface, and different theories and different things. And half the time it's like, is this intentional? Did they is it just the Coen brothers being ironic and trying to be funny? And then you watch it and you're like, oh, maybe Walter never went to Vietnam, and it's just
it's really funny. You got to read that interview with them talking about the script writing, because it's like they're so lackadaisical about it. It's like they never intended any of it, and it's like you look into it, there's like so much there, and they talk about it. It's like, yeah, I guess sure, you can see it that way if you want.
What's your favourite line?
Well, probably Human Paraquat. But another favourite of mine is the dream sequence with "Just dropped in to see what my condition is in." And that's because it goes up to there, and I'm enjoying the film, but then that dream sequence comes in. It's like, oh no, I love this movie. It's so good.
And another sort of pastiche of the sort of LA detective thing, the noir. It's when he's at Jackie Treehorn's and he goes out the room, he uses a pencil on the notepad. He scribbles on it with a pencil to see what was last written, and it's just a drawing of this man with boobs and a huge cock or something. And it's just like, and then he takes it and puts it in his pocket. And then when he gets taken by the police later on, they're trying to they take all his possessions and they take it out of his pocket, and there's like one look, there's like, what the fuck.
And the only identification he's got is a Ralph's card.
And then again at the end, when they've got Donnie's ashes to get scattered, and they're trying to charge him for the receptacle, and he's having this like, it's just a receptacle, can't we just borrow it, can't we? And he's like, we do not loan receptacles here, this is a and then they're just like, well, fuck, we'll be right back. And then they turn up with a coffee tin from Ralph's. And that's what they're stood on the cliff doing the ash. It's such a ridiculous film.
Just thinking about the film makes me laugh.
Yeah. It's a truly like comedic masterpiece, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy. Apart from like What's Up Doc, I don't think a film's ever made me laugh that much. Hot Fuzz as well, it's a big one for me.
I mean, Hot Fuzz has a similar sort of style of mystery, and but there's something about
but it's like it's a pastiche of a certain genre of film, isn't it?
Yeah, but there is something about, God, what's the director called? I've forgotten his name.
Edgar Wright.
There's something about Edgar Wright, especially Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, and all the Cornetto trilogy, where it's a little bit too esoteric. Like you can watch it and then it feels a little bit more formulaic, less broad. I mean, it's still, don't get me wrong, it's still really, really good. I feel like it's a lot easier to understand than the Big Lebowski, where it's just Lebowski is a little bit of a mess in the best way,
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I think we should get towards wrapping it up.
Yeah, I want to go and sit underneath a fan or something. I'm not sure what next week is. Have we talked about that yet?
No. I need to get to work on finishing up the Jonathan Richman ep.
Yeah, but it's been a little while.
It's been a little while. I've been a little busy recently, but it's coming. It's in the pipeline. Something
is coming next week.
Don't know what. Don't know when. I mean, we do know when.
It'll be next Wednesday.
We don't know who.
Will it be us too? Maybe there'll be a bizarro Paul and Will.
We'll see you then.
See you next time. Oh, mystery.